Welcome to Diva On A Mission podcast, where we share snippets of joy to uplift, inspire, and motivate you. I'm your host, Eva the Diva, and I'm thrilled to bring you stories that transform everyday moments into profound experiences. This is episode 51, and I just want to take a moment to say thank you. I started this podcast because I was lost and disconnected, and I was seeking a way back to myself, to reconnect with my creativity, find my voice, and just find purpose in the journey back to myself. And here I am, a bit over a year later, 50 episodes in, over 500 streams and downloads later, and I am just grateful for the journey so far. I didn't think I'd make it to here, and this is just a reminder to anyone out there feeling lost, feeling like they're talking to no one but themselves. Keep doing it, because if it doesn't even serve anyone else, it'll serve you, and that in itself is a win. So from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful for the journey this far, for every person that has been touched by Diva On A Mission podcast. I appreciate you, and I do not take any of that for granted. Now, on episode 51, which is this episode you're listening to right now, I'm recording it on July 12th, and we have been through a lot. I have been through a lot. And the demonstrations in Kenya that have turned violent, the prevalent loss of life because people showed up to speak their voice, to exercise their rights. There are wars in the DRC, in Sudan. Palestine and Israel are still at war. There's the war in Ukraine and Russia. And there's so many conflicts around the world, so much devastation, so much loss of habitat, loss of culture. And all these things break our hearts, and they are a tear into the fabric that makes us wholly human and the parts of us that seek to be the best versions of ourselves. And this is a war we need to keep fighting, the war back to ourselves, the journey back to preserving our habitats, our culture, our way of life in a way that's meaningful, that's connected. And so with everything that's been happening, I feel like we are being distracted from what really matters. Yes, there are the hot button issues that we need to address every day, but we should not be consumed by them and find a way to balance ourselves, to heal, and to reclaim ourselves. And so this episode is about fighting the distractions and creating a path back in small, meaningful actions that we can each undertake. And so that's why I felt the need to record this episode this way. So welcome back to Diva On A Mission podcast. And here we are reminded what it means to be alive, awake, and purposeful in a world that often feels determined to distract and divide us. So today's episode is for all of us who felt overwhelmed, heartsick, or helpless in these times of war, political upheaval, and non-stop noise. Have you ever wondered, what are we being distracted from? What should we actually be paying attention to? So I want us to take a deep breath, because this is important and because there's so much we can still do to counter the effects of being overwhelmed. So I have 5 simple things that we need to focus on as we also work on addressing the burning issues of the day. Issue number 1 is the climate crisis, which is accelerating silently. While war dominates the news, the planet is quietly tipping past points of no return. In 2023 alone, the world lost 10 million hectares of forest, an area almost the size of Iceland. 1 million species are threatened with extinction. Africa is losing over 50 billion a year to land degradation and desertification. So, what can you do with almost zero money? You can join local tree planting efforts or start a micro nursery with your neighbors. So whenever you eat fruit or anything that has seed, do not throw the seed away. Keep it and start planting the seeds from even the fruit you eat, right? Learn about indigenous plants in your region and share the story of that plant online. Avoid single-use plastics whenever possible. And then advocate for public and green spaces wherever you live. Issue number 2, power and wealth are being quietly consolidated. While we argue politics, laws are being passed that concentrate power. In 2022, the top 1% grabbed nearly 2/3 of all new wealth created globally. Tech companies and governments are embedding surveillance tools in our everyday lives. So, what can you do about it? Make sure you do your homework on apps, on gadgets that protect your privacy, and find ways and tools and tips and tricks that help you protect your privacy. Do your research and find the best ones and use them. You can also support local cooperatives or businesses over monopolies. Find the mom and shop business in your area, a grocer, a mechanic, a mama fua, anyone, small individual corporations, support them over monopolies. Also, attend town hall meetings, even virtually, and participate fully. Ask questions, volunteer, all that. The other thing you can do is teach a young person in your life about digital literacy or privacy or about how to exercise their rights. Those are things that you can teach. Each one, teach one. Issue number 3, we all know and we can see our rights being eroded. So, during crisis, the rights to protect, speak, and organize often shrink. So over 100 countries have introduced laws restricting free expression since 2020. Gender and reproductive rights are rolled back in many places. Marginalized communities are scapegoated to distract from systemic failures. So what can we do? You can donate your time, not just money. Volunteer with civic organizations and get in touch with the real issues in your area. You can record stories of elders and activists so that their experiences are not erased. Amplify voices from affected communities on social media. So use your social media for good to amplify the efforts that you're making in your neighborhood, in your community, in your village. Do that. Issue number 4, cultural memory is under threat. As the noise grows, we risk forgetting who we are. Every 2 weeks, a language dies, and with it, entire ways of understanding the world disappear. Curriculums are being sanitized or completely erased, and children are growing up without the stories that once anchored their people. So what can you do about it? Document family stories, learn or teach a traditional recipe, song or dance, learn to crochet, learn to knit, learn to sew a button, or just recycle your own waste. Small actions like that. You can also support artists, writers, and culture bearers in your community. Attend the spoken word event or the band practice. Or if you find people dancing for money, support them, give them a platform, all of that. This is just to remind, it's like a couple of years ago, I went to a funeral in upcountry. And the interesting thing was that in every person that was invited to sing or to sing at the funeral shared their YouTube channel. And I found that very, very fascinating, because you would think that, the influencer space is for people living in urban environments only. But I loved seeing those women from upcountry believing in themselves, being brave enough to come to a funeral and asking to sing and perform. And then they would also, give information about where you can find them. And most of them had a YouTube. And then they also had a flash drive of their music or CD. So they had their music in multiple formats. So they either had a flash drive or a CD. So that if if you tell them, oh, you only have CDs and I don't have a CD player in my car, they were ready with a flash drive. So I loved how innovative that was. And I love how people have, in this age, the ability to market themselves from wherever they are. So never feel like you have no platform. A lot of people are starting from zero with very little, and they're making it work. So support the artists, the writers, buy a book. When you find a writer, buy a book from them. If you find a singer, buy their CD, be it on a CD or a flash drive, whatever their art is. If they're a painter, buy their art. So all of that. A sculptor, the same. An interior decorator, do the same, support their work. And this is what makes the world go round. So issue number 5, our inner healing and collective imagination, right, is a priority. And it's being diminished and minimalized in the pursuit of the everyday struggle. So we all know that when we are overwhelmed, we stop dreaming. But it is important to remember every moment for change began as someone's dream. So how do you nurture this? With minimum effort. Number 1, you can create a daily ritual, however small, to check in with yourself. You can practice gratitude journaling. It helps rewire the brain towards hope. When you're talking with your friends, don't talk about what is frustrating. Talk about what you hope to build, what the best case scenario is for your life. That, if things go the way you hope for, that you talk about those things in that way. Don't talk about what is frustrating or hurting you. Share your hopes and dreams too, and build with your friends. Plan that dream trip, that you've always wanted to take. I think it's important to have both aspects. It's important to be able to vent to your friends about the things that are hurting you, but it's also important to dream with your friends as well. Dream with your partner, dream with your friends, dream with your family. I think these things help us in more than healing the immediate wounds. It also positively affects our mindsets, reduces our stress levels, and makes us kind of be more easy to be around. And not just easy around just for the sake of being digestible, but to be at peace and happy in our skins, even as we know that the world is still struggling and imperfect. So know that I want you to hear this. You do not have to do everything, but you must do something. Small acts matter. They multiply. They inspire others. They keep our hearts alive. So remember, 5 actions you can start with this week. Plant something, even if it's 1 seed. Write a letter to your local representative or even to someone you admire and tell them about how you're feeling. Number 3, call an elder and ask them to share a memory that you can pass on. Number 4, spend a minimum of 30 minutes learning about, surveillance, about capitalism, about the new laws being enacted, about how to protect your privacy, and then teach someone else. Number 5, create a vision board of the world you want to help build. Remember, you don't need to spend a lot of money to make a difference. In fact, some of the most powerful transformations begin with time, attention, and love. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it and I don't take it for granted. Thank you for caring enough to stay awake when so much conspires to lull us to sleep. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend, leave a comment, and most of all, take one action today, however small, because you, dear Diva, are on a mission and the world is waiting for your brilliance. Until next time, stay rooted, stay curious, and stay on mission. Peace.